How's it going, everyone? It is Drago. We're back with another chapter of Fairy Tale 100 Year Quest, chapter 103, Memories of Friends. So before even getting into any of the chapter, we had a popularity poll, which they had a page at the front of this chapter showing the top 5 winners of that popularity poll. First being Lucy, second being Urza, third being Irene, fourth being Jalal, and fifth being Natsu. They went down to 15, but this is the only page that really shows who won it without just like generic photos of them, which I wonder how much some of these are going to change, because I imagine Silene isn't going to stay in the top 5 forever. She's probably just up there because she's the main villain of this current arc. Honestly, some of the placings of that top 15, I was actually kind of surprised at people where they placed and whatnot. Like, I'm actually kind of surprised Natsu was at 5th. I thought he would have probably at least been 3rd or 4th, but not shocked at all that Lucy made it to number 1. It was real awkward that she won the popularity contest, but also was dying in the last chapter. So getting into the actual chapter, we have the cover page, which is Lucy and Cancer on it, which I quite like this cover. Lucy looking beautiful as always, and Cancer looking real cool trying to cut her hair, which I do really like this cover. But before actually getting into this actual chapter, I'm very excited for it because last week's chapter was kind of a bummer, and this week's chapter is very much hype. So the first page of the chapter is pretty much the last page of last chapter, with Lucy getting cut. And whoever guessed that Lucy that was dying was actually Gemini, you are correct. Which I kind of love that like Lucy's doing like substitution jutsu techniques. It wasn't entirely intentional on Lucy's part because she gets saved by Horologium. I wouldn't be particularly telling the lady that almost killed your celestial wizard that, hey, this is the only time I can save you, so, if she does that to you again, you're gonna die. But you gotta give it the locks. This Horologium like dumps off Lucy, but, when he saved her, he didn't have time to save her clothes, and he's just looking away like, I am not looking at you. I'm going to respect your privacy. Lucy gets up and she immediately goes into the star dress form Aries. And again, I wouldn't really be telling her this because Kieran's like, hey, that defensive trick you did right there, you can only do that once, right? And Lucy's like, yep, I wouldn't be telling her this because she literally almost just killed you. So she goes in for another attack, and Lucy uses Wool Shield to block it, which it doesn't really do much. And just how she instantly got rid of all the wool and just like immediately cut at Lucy. Lucy gets a lot of cuts on her, and it is sad to hear her like internal monologue of her saying that Kira is so strong and she doesn't know what to do, and that she feels like she can't even do anything on her own. It's like, oh no, Lucy, please have some strength. But she's really cut up and she's bleeding and she's starting to fall over. And just when she's almost kind of like about to give up and she's about to get slashed one last time, it is Loxus that ends up saving her. That immediately snaps Lucy out of any kind of depression that she had right there, because she just started caring more about her guildmate than herself, which Kira's pretty shocked about it because she's like, hey, I cut your strength. You're not allowed to do anything on your own. Pretty much Loxus's explanation for this was that his body instinctually moved on its own, and he wasn't even controlling himself to go save Lucy. Loxus says, where does their strength come from? And it's not from them on their own, but it's from the bonds of the guild. That's what makes all of them so strong, which quite literally in Lucy's case, oh my goodness, yes, that is true. Which that Bonds of the Guild line really got to Lucy because she starts saying, Bonds of the Guild, Bonds of the Guild. Yes, I can do something with this. So she calls out Virgo to, help Loxus, and she is ready to full-on fight Kira now. And the key to this whole thing is, of course, the Bonds of the Guild. That is her strength. Which Kira is like, what the flip are you talking about? That's just a load of crap. You're going to still get cut up just the same. And I think this is going to be a very important line here because Lucy says, I'm not on my own. The memories of my friends are dyed into my body. And then, of course, has her having her hand to her heart, and then, just memories that Lucy's had. So Lucy starts to change into a new star dress, and it's very Urza Requip-esque. And she does the star dress mix Aquarius and Gemini form. Which, spoilers for what's to come, but I think this is probably the strongest star dress she has. Which Virgo's freaking out because she's like, oh no, that form, you can't hold it for more than 16 seconds, like if that runs out, you're done. And Lucy, feeling real confident, says, I only need 16 seconds. That's all I need to take out this chick. So she starts summoning a bunch of water around her, and Kira's like, what the flip's going on here? And Lucy starts to say a spell as well. I wonder if she got this idea from Juvia because she starts summoning water clones of herself. Of course, Kira's just nonstop slashing them and like, these are just clones, it's gonna just be a matter of time until I get to the real one. And meanwhile, Lucy's still incanting a spell. I will say, I feel like she's doing this a little bit cooler than Juvia because she did water clones of herself, but then she was also doing water clones of her friends because she did one of Urza, which gets slashed and turned into water immediately. And then Natsu, Gray, and Happy. I can't tell if the middle one is Wendy or not, but I can for sure see Urza, Natsu, Gray, and Happy. She starts making some new clones, and it is not just the memories of only her guild, it's also friends she's made outside of the guild. So she starts making clones of Yukino and Hisui, and her final monologue thing while also reading out a spell is the memories of everyone I met have given me power. You get a shot with Kira and Lucy, Hisui, and Yukino all surrounding her in a triangle with water all around them still, and she calls this celestial trinity magic Gottfried. It's a very cool shot with them defeating Kira. And Kira, I'm going to say for certain, is probably down for the count now. And Lucy starts to fall over, but she is victorious. With the final line of this chapter being, that is the power of our bonds. Which I really do like, freaking Loxus and Virgo looking at Lucy like, yeah, you did it. And that is the end of our chapter. So my thoughts. After last week's chapter, which was a pure depression at the end of it, I know a lot of people had the theories of is it a fake Lucy? Is this Lucy getting her arm cut off? But I'm quite glad it was the Gemini thing, and Lucy had an expert showing this chapter. Oh my freaking goodness. The Aquarius Gemini and that last spell that she did made her an absolute freaking powerhouse. I wonder if this means that she could technically do the other Stardress mixes, but each one has maybe a different timer for it. Virgo says she can only use this for 16 seconds. Meanwhile, she was able to use the Leo and Virgo one for quite a while. She even used it before she used the Stardress. So I wonder if the other ones she can use for even lesser amount of times, and that's probably because they're scaling even higher in power. But either way, she had an expert showing in the Aquarius Gemini Stardress. This fight was absolute freaking wild ride, man, because Lucy starts off great. She halfway through looks like she's going to be dead, and then she tricked everyone and absolutely beat up Kira. I do really like the idea that she took the memories from her friends, kind of almost doing water clones similar to Juvia, and also using her friends as a way to fight, this enemy. Because, she said almost on her own she felt like she couldn't do this fight, so maybe her summoning in the water clones also bolstered up her strength, to feel oh, I got Natsu fighting with me, I got Gray, I got Urza with me. Together, all of us together, we cannot lose. Either way, I was super excited reading this chapter. This is one of the funnest chapters we had in a while. I absolutely love Lucy's freaking power-up she's had in this chapter. Either way, tell me what you thought about this chapter. I had an absolute blast with it. Sorry if this got a little delayed putting out this chapter review. I had a lot of things come up this week. Otherwise, thank you for watching, and this is Drago, signing out.